Welcome to Declassified Deep Dive, where unredacted files reveal hidden truths. Let's uncover the secrets. I'm your host, Raj, and each week we explore a new secret deep dive.
All right, so get this, the deep dive today. It takes us into some pretty shadowy territory, CIA mind control experiment.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? It sounds like something out of, a conspiracy theory.
Totally.
But you guys have sent us so many sources, like excerpts from books, articles, declassified documents, even some YouTube video transcripts.
Ah.
Yeah. Clearly, you want to get to the bottom of MKUltra.
Yeah.
What they were hoping to achieve, the impact it had.
For sure. It's fascinating and disturbing, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And one that's definitely shrouded in secrecy, given how much of that documentation was destroyed.
Okay, so first things first, paint the picture for us. What was MKUltra, and what was the driving force behind it?
Well, MKUltra was a top-secret CIA program that ran for at least a decade, starting in the early 1950s during the height of the Cold War.
Oh, wow.
The CIA was obsessed with this idea of mind control, creating assassins that couldn't be turned, soldiers who could resist interrogation, maybe even influencing world leaders. They feared that the Soviets were already ahead in this research, which fueled a sense of urgency, this kind of we have to catch up at any cost mentality.
And their weapon of choice, LSD.
Right.
That's pretty wild.
It does seem crazy now, but back then, LSD was a relatively new drug, and its effects weren't fully understood. The CIA saw it as a potential tool for unlocking and manipulating the human mind.
Right.
But MKUltra wasn't just about LSD. It encompassed over 150 sub-projects and experiments.
Wow.
Each exploring different techniques.
Speaking of those sub-projects, I have to ask about the one that really caught my eye, Operation Midnight Climax.
Oh, yeah.
CIA-run brothels,
Yeah.
where they dosed unsuspecting men with LSD. It sounds too bizarre to be true.
It's definitely one of the most notorious aspects of MKUltra.
Yeah.
They set up these safe houses in San Francisco and New York using prostitutes to lure men in.
Wow.
The men had no idea they were being dosed or observed.
That's so ethically disturbing.
Eh.
It makes you question how far they were willing to go in the name of national security.
Yeah.
It wasn't even legal, right?
Exactly. The CIA's charter prohibited domestic operations, yet they were targeting U.S. citizens without their knowledge or consent.
Right.
And using prostitutes just added another layer of exploitation and moral complexity to the whole thing.
So how did all of this come to light? Did someone blow the whistle?
It wasn't until the 1970s, in the wake of the Watergate scandal, that MKUltra was finally exposed.
Oh, wow.
The Senate held hearings in 1977, and the public was outraged by what they learned.
Right.
It sparked a national conversation about government overreach individual rights and the ethical boundaries of scientific research.
These experiments had real victims, too.
Yeah.
The story of Frank Olson, the biochemist who was secretly given LSD and later died falling from a hotel window, is particularly tragic. Was it suicide, or was there something more sinister going on?
Olson's case is one of the most haunting legacies of MKUltra. He experienced a severe mental breakdown after being dosed and died just days later.
Wow.
Officially, his death was ruled a suicide, but the circumstances were suspicious.
Yeah.
Many believe the CIA was involved in a cover-up.
Right.
His family fought for decades to uncover the truth and eventually received a settlement from the government acknowledging the CIA's role in his LSD experience.
Okay.
But so many questions remain unanswered.
And Olson wasn't alone.
Yeah.
So many people, soldiers, prisoners, even mental health patients, were unknowingly subjected to these experiments.
Yeah.
Velma Orlico, the Canadian woman who was seeking treatment for depression and ended up in Dr. Cameron's de-patterning experiments, is another heartbreaking example.
Dr. Cameron was a key figure in MKUltra, and his experiments were especially brutal. He used a combination of LSD electroshock therapy and sensory deprivation, believing he could erase people's memories and rebuild their personalities from scratch.
Jeez.
Orlico's case illustrates the devastating and lasting impact these experiments had on innocent people. She lost her ability to read and write, suffered memory gaps, and even contemplated suicide.
It's mind-blowing to think this was happening often with taxpayer dollars and no one knew.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole Charles Manson connection. The fact that his parole officer worked at a clinic that was receiving funding from sources that also funded MKUltra. It's all pretty unsettling.
There's no concrete evidence linking Manson to MKUltra, but it's a fascinating and disturbing theory that adds to the mystery and intrigue surrounding the program.
Yeah.
It raises the question, just how far did this web of experimentation and manipulation extend?
We've only just scratched the surface here, and already it feels like we're peering into the heart of a very dark conspiracy.
It's a rabbit hole for sure.
Yeah.
And one we need to explore carefully.
All right, let's take a deep breath and dive back into the world of MKUltra after a quick break. We'll unravel more of this story and examine some of the other techniques they explored.
Okay.
So we're back. And man, the more we learn about MKUltra, the more unsettling it gets. We've talked about, LSD experimentation and Operation Midnight Climax, but the CIA didn't stop there. They explored a whole arsenal of mind control techniques.
Right. They weren't putting all their eggs in one basket, so to speak. While LSD was a major focus, they also delved into hypnosis, sensory deprivation, electroshock therapy, even psychosurgery.
Psychosurgery.
Yeah.
That sounds straight out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
What exactly did that involve?
It's as disturbing as it sounds. They were literally trying to alter the brain through surgery, believing they could change behavior and personality.
Wow.
One of the most controversial figures in MKUltra was Dr. Ewan Cameron, who conducted experiments at the Allen Memorial Institute in Montreal.
Oh, right. Didn't he develop that deep patterning technique we discussed earlier?
Yes, that was Cameron. He used a combination of electroshock therapy, LSD, and prolonged sleep to try to erase people's memories and essentially reprogram them. He believed he could cure schizophrenia and other mental illnesses this way, but his methods were incredibly brutal and caused significant harm to his patients.
It's hard to believe that this was considered legitimate science at the time.
It's a stark reminder of how easily scientific ambition can be twisted and how crucial ethical oversight is, especially when dealing with vulnerable populations.
Right.
Cameron's work was eventually exposed and condemned, but the damage was already done.
Yeah, it's chilling to think that these experiments were happening in supposedly reputable institutions.
Yeah.
What about hypnosis? Did the CIA actually believe they could create hypno-programmed assassins or sleeper agents?
Hypnosis was another area of intense interest for them.
Right.
They poured a lot of resources into researching it, hoping to find a way to control people's actions without their conscious awareness. I think Manchurian Candidate, that was the kind of scenario they were envisioning.
So did they succeed? Did they create real-life sleeper agents?
Well, the idea of a hypno-programmed assassin is a popular trope in fiction. There's no evidence that the CIA ever successfully achieved that level of control.
Yeah.
Human consciousness is far too complex to be easily manipulated in that way, but they did learn a lot about the potential of hypnosis for influencing behavior. And that knowledge has continued to be explored, for better or worse, in various fields ever since.
What about sensory deprivation? I remember reading about experiments where they would put people in isolation tanks for days. What was the thinking behind that?
The idea was to overload the senses by depriving them of all stimulation.
Oh, I see.
They believed that this would create a state of heightened suggestibility, making the subject more open to manipulation.
That sounds incredibly disorienting and psychologically damaging.
It can be. The effects of sensory deprivation are complex and varied.
Right.
Some people experience hallucinations, others become incredibly anxious, and still others report a sense of peace and tranquility. It really depends on the individual and the context. The research the CIA conducted in this area, while ethically questionable, did contribute to our understanding of how the brain responds to extreme environments.
Wow, it's amazing to think that even though the goal of mind control proved elusive, the research from MKUltra had a lasting impact, both good and bad.
Absolutely. The program's ethical violations were a wake-up call. They led to stricter guidelines for research involving human subjects and a greater awareness of the importance of informed consent. The National Research Act of 1974, for example, was a direct result of the MKUltra revelations.
So in a way, MKUltra's legacy is a double-edged sword. It pushed the boundaries of scientific exploration, but at a terrible human cost. It forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about the pursuit of knowledge and the potential for its misuse.
Exactly. It's a story that highlights the importance of vigilance and ethical responsibility, not just in government and scientific research, but in all areas of life.
Right. It also makes you wonder, with all the advances in technology since then, what forms might mind control take in the future?
That's a question worth pondering. As technology continues to evolve, so too will the possibilities for influencing and manipulating the human mind. Think about artificial intelligence, social media algorithms, targeted advertising. It's a brave new world out there, and we need to be aware of the potential risks as well as the benefits.
Okay, I need a moment to process all of this before we move on. This deep dive has been a real eye-opener. Okay, so we're back, and I'm still reeling from all the twists and turns in this MKUltra rabbit hole. It's hard to believe some of the things the CIA actually tried: LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation. But there's one experiment that really takes the cake for sheer absurdity.
You're talking about the acoustic kitty, right?
What?
The acoustic kitty, or as you might call it, the RoboCat. It was one of those M-Culture projects that makes you question if they weren't losing their grip on reality.
What?
Go on!
So the idea was to surgically implant listening devices in cats and train them to spy on the Soviets. Wait, are you serious? They tried to turn cats into spies.
It sounds like a joke, but it's true. They spent a considerable amount of time and money on this project, convinced it was a brilliant idea.
Oh my gosh, and how did that work out?
Well, not surprisingly, it was a colossal failure. The first cat they released ran straight into traffic and was killed.
Oh no, that's both tragic and kind of hilarious in a dark, ironic way.
It does highlight the desperation and anything-goes mentality that fueled MKUltra. They were so fixated on winning the Cold War that they were willing to try anything, no matter how outlandish.
It's a reminder that even the most brilliant minds can fall prey to flawed thinking, especially when driven by fear and paranoia. But this whole MKUltra saga also speaks to a deeper human fascination. Don't you think the idea of controlling the mind, whether it's our own or someone else's, has always captivated us?
Absolutely. From ancient mystics to modern neuroscientists, we've always been searching for ways to unlock the secrets of the mind. MKUltra was just one chapter in that ongoing quest, albeit a very dark and twisted one.
Right, and it's a chapter that continues to have ripple effects today. I mean, the ethical violations of MKUltra forced a major reckoning in the scientific community.
Yeah, the revelations about MKUltra were a turning point. They led to the development of stricter ethical guidelines for research, especially when it comes to human subjects, and a much greater emphasis on informed consent. The National Research Act of 1974, which governs research ethics in the U.S., was a direct result of the MKUltra scandal.
So, in a way, MKUltra served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that scientific progress shouldn't come at the expense of human dignity and autonomy.
Exactly. It's a lesson we need to keep in mind as we move into the future. With all the advances in technology, particularly in fields like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and neurotechnology, the potential for both good and bad is enormous.
It makes you wonder what forms mind control might take in the future.
Right.
Could we see a resurgence of these types of experiments, but with even more sophisticated tools?
It's not outside the realm of possibility. We already see elements of mind control all around us in more subtle forms. Think about the way social media algorithms can influence our opinions and behaviors, or how targeted advertising can manipulate our desires.
It's a bit unsettling to think about.
It is, which is why it's so important to be aware of these issues and to engage in critical thinking. We need to be mindful of the information we consume, the technologies we use, and the potential for manipulation in all aspects of our lives.
It's a lot to process, but I think that's the key takeaway from this deep dive. Vigilance, critical thinking, and a healthy dose of skepticism are more important now than ever. We can't just blindly trust authority or assume that technology is always being used for good.
Well said. The legacy of MKUltra is a sobering reminder that knowledge can be used for both good and evil. It's up to us to ensure that the lessons of the past are not forgotten and that the pursuit of scientific progress is always guided by ethical principles.
I think that's a good place to leave this conversation for now. This deep dive into MKUltra has been both fascinating and disturbing, and it's definitely given me a lot to think about. If you're interested in learning more about this, there are a ton of resources out there, books, articles, documentaries. I mean, the list goes on. So yeah, go check those out if you want to learn more. And until next time, keep your minds open, but also keep them safe.